got a brain?
I don't know. But some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yeah, sure right.
And welcome to another unnecessary list here on the Touring Fan Live. My name is Anthony Krzyzewicz, and with me is a talented artist who I've known for an extremely long time. He's made dreams come true. He's shaken hands and kissed babies. Let's all give a big round of applause for Mr. Brian Meth.
Hello, everyone.
And that's enough. Okay.
Thank you, Anthony, for the lovely round of applause.
We could just keep it going. I mean, we could just do a whole.
I don't know if we need to do that,
okay,
but the intro was choice. I loved it.
Mom, this is so boring. Why'd you take me here? Can we go home?
No, you're gonna stay here. All right. So, first of all, I worked really hard on the new intro. What did you think about that?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I love the voiceover at the beginning. I thought it made me laugh.
Yes, the Wizard of Oz.
I don't know if you could see my.
Yes,
the Wizard of Oz voiceover made me laugh quite a lot.
Oh yes, I love it. Well, first of all, living this close, living in Kansas City, and having Wizard of Oz is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but it really is. And so I was like, yeah, gotta get clips in. Gotta get clips.
My wife's a huge fan, and my son we used to listen to the audiobook a lot, read by Anne Hathaway. So yeah.
Oh, I might have to snake that.
It's good, and she does like voices for them, which is kind of cool. So it's a really good listen.
Well, here today on another unnecessary list, we are going to be doing a list. We're not ripping anyone else's list apart. Basically, what we're doing is we're going over the 2022 Pearl Jam tour posters, and I've created a list that Brian has already seen. I've sent it over to him, and I have ranked every single poster. And this is just my personal opinion. This is not value anyone else's opinion on the Touring Fan Live. So anyone else that's associated with Touring Fan Live, this is just my personal opinion, that's not Brian's opinion. And Brian's going to rip apart my list, which is interesting because in the past we've done other people's lists, but today we're ripping apart my own personal list. But because I do think, looking back at the 2020 tour, it definitely is like a roller coaster looking at these posters. Wouldn't you agree, Brian?
I agree. I think that there's a lot of really cool artwork. I think it troubles me that there's a little lack of consistency. I do love seeing a lot of different artists. I think that that's cool. I think that it's great to give that type of exposure. And I love seeing what people like to do, because I think that Pearl Jam's gotten to the point right now where we've seen, a lot of artwork from different artists. We've seen a lot of interpretations of the band and their music. And it's nice to see some different interpretations of what the band represents. I mean, I think there are a lot of things that come into the creation of a concert poster. So it's nice to see other people and what they come up with. But it's also nice to see some old favorites that we haven't seen in a while, like Mr. Ward Sutton, who, brings it and kills it every single time.
There is this consistency. You say you have a high pitch. I think your pitch sounds good, but didn't get my T-shirt. I've messaged this person. Over the last 3 shows, this person will respond to me. Didn't get my shirt. I don't know who this person is. Wow, dude, that pitch. Okay. Anyway,
that pitch might just be what the Lord gave me.
I think you have the most beautiful pitch in the world. As for Matt, Dan Mumford is not coming on the show. Dan will be on his regular show at the end of the month, where we're going to be talking on 3 Pints of Pop with Dan and Bailey Race, and you can ask him then for an MSG poster, but this would not be the place to do that. Let me ask you this, Brian, because I think this is a great, question that anybody on here really is listening. I'd like for your opinion. When you get ready to go to a show, and most, artists now are getting on the bandwagon of making posters specific for their show. Jack
Hmm.
White's doing it very good. The Black Keys are doing it really well. Dave Matthews. I mean, even Mumford and Son. Every single person. Nothing to be sorry about, Matt. You're great. There's absolutely everyone's doing it in different ways, right?
Hmm.
Pearl Jam's been doing it for a long time, but when you go into a show, I went to go see Wolf House the other day, and I was surprised, like they had a show specific poster for that show,
Hmm.
and like, what do you want out of a show poster? And everyone listening and tuning in right now, if you're live, post in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. What do you want out of a show poster that you're going to? And Brian, what do you want out of a show poster?
Personally, I really want something that is a little indicative of the venue, the city, or the
Yeah.
state, or something like that. I want something that kind of um, has a little bit of that feel to it, whether it's referencing something that's happened there, or the musical culture, or the artistic culture, or something from the city. I think that's cool for people to have, because you're like, oh, um, I went and saw Wilco played in Newport. It was a really nice poster. It wasn't, and I did one for another show on the tour, but it was a really nice local kind of map theme, which had the river and the waterfront, which was pretty cool. So I really like that. So I think that that's cool, and I just want to see something that um, kind of captures at least something about the band, whether it's a specific song, a mood for the album. Um, so those are the kind of the two big things that I look for, and then just for the art to kind of grab you. Um, I I'm pretty old school. I like a lot of loud colors, different types of colors, things like that. But that's basically what it comes down to. Comes down to for me is just something that's evocative of the band, and something that's referential of the general area that the show's in.
Yeah, I
But I'd
agree with you.
love to hear what other people think. I mean, what do you like to see?
So for me, my travels for the last many of years, and I didn't really think about this until, when I was moving and I was looking at a lot of posters in my flat file I hadn't seen in a long time.
Hmm.
I like, sometimes it's going to be the only time I go to a city for the first time. Um,
Hmm.
I look at like, for instance, when I look at like the DC Reaper, right, which is my all-time favorite poster, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it screams the moment in time, right?
Hmm.
Brad Clawson knocked out of the park with that, with the DC Reaper flag, right, all that stuff. It talks about Washington D.C. It
Hmm.
has amazing font to it, in my opinion. Even though Brad Clawson on the show even said that he hates that font, he would love to go back and fix that. But like
I like
everything,
the font, Brad. It's a good font.
we need to get him on.
I'm a big font guy too, and I try not to let fonts like get into it, but as much, but as the other two things. But yeah, I get it.
No, but like I love, like when I look back at that, it brings everything together. It gives me a moment of time when you going back to 2006 of what the economy in the world was at that point. It brings me back to the show. It brings me back to DC. It brings all these things back because, like, there's gonna be times where I'm not gonna go back even though I live close to it. I'm not gonna go back to Lincoln, Nebraska, but I have a poster from
No,
Lincoln,
yeah.
Nebraska. And it's indicative that some
Mhm.
people here
I think
like
it's a really good point, and a really good observation. Yeah, especially if you travel to shows,
sure.
yeah, I think that reminds you of your travels in
Yeah, I
addition
mean,
to
like
just the show.
Mark Kirby says he likes simplicity and celebrates the city.
Hmm.
Matt Behan says, I want colorful show venue, city, date, and guests listed well. So probably like, all the information and stuff.
Uh huh.
Um, Michelle says, you want the poster to talk to you. You want it to capture the whole experience. I agree with you. And then Don says, I like to see something that has inspiration from the city. Michelle brings up the pit, so the Pittsburgh Emick, but it was Emick, right, that did that poster with him pouring the
Oh, that was Monk. That's a
oh,
Monk
Monk, yeah, but
poster, and that was a
huge,
great. I loved that poster. I was at
yeah.
the show, and that was a great. But I didn't get
Oh,
one at the show, but yeah.
totally. I mean, it makes because it incorporates so much the Steel City, the
Hmm.
music. There's so much to it. But we'll
I
get to
think
this.
there are only a handful, but that's in my mind that's a perfect poster.
Yeah. Melina Miller says you want it to be different and something that's a real conversation piece. That's a great point too, because
Mhm.
a lot of times we buy these posters, we spend a lot of money into the idea of framing them and putting them up because it is something where people come over, we're proud of it, right? Like hey,
Mhm.
we went to the show, we did things like it's a great conversation piece. There's so much when you look at this, it is crazy. Ryan Blackwell says, agree with Brian. Some things that relate to the history of the city, but also relates to whatever album they're supporting. That's a great, the great reason too. I mean, a lot of people, might not be a big fan of Gigaton, but it does represent what this is going on in the world right now. So a lot of
Absolutely.
the posters are going to be around the themes and elements in there. Mark Kirby says, I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was not happy with the Louisville poster. We'll get to it. We're going to get to it. We'll get to it. We're going to go through this.
It's on the list.
It is on the list. It is on. All of them are on the list. I feel like that should be a soundbite. You're on the list. I
We'll
will
have to
say
find
this
one.
though. Are you a fan of Timothy Pittitz?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I've been following Timothy now I've known him for quite a few years. I actually
Mhm.
was in like a pre-commission for him, God, 10, 12 years ago when people were like, that was when like it was heavy for pop culture to have like all these private commissions to like make posters and stuff.
Yes.
And I will say, like, I've known him, I comment on him and stuff. We always exchange happy birthdays and stuff. That's, as
Mhm.
close as it gets. But like when these Eddie Vedder posters he just did, I was like, I wanted this with Pearl Jam. Like I saw like the Vegas and California prints,
Yeah.
and they were
Mhm.
so done well.
His Amsterdam Vetter
Mm.
poster is really great. I mean, it just has all of the, all the kind of hallmarks of I love how it kind of references a previous art style or a prior art style that we're all familiar with, that kind of art deco and things like that. So that's a really good poster. I mean, but yeah, I think the Vegas one with the dice and the chips and is really solid. I mean, that's a really, really great piece.
I mean, if you think about what the comments of just some of the viewers have been saying here recently, it incorporates the city, is colorful, is something you can hang up on the wall and
It's
talk
got
about.
neon. I mean, the font is in a
Everything.
neon lighting. I mean, come on. It's just really, really well done.
Did either of you see the Eddie Vedder portrait made out of the guitar picks that someone posted? I have not. So
I have not. Hi, Brad. No, I
yeah,
haven't.
hybrid. All right. Hey, Michelle, can you find it? I've messaged this Melina woman, and she keeps saying that she's not coming. Speaking of, where's my T-shirt? I don't know what she's talking about, but okay. Anyway, let's move on. So let's get right into this list, I think. So I think we have a basis of what we're looking for when we're getting into the actual posters, right? Like what we're looking at. And I think we have an idea of what I'm looking for, what all these things, all these different stuff. I think we're looking at this. So let's get into my list. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go through. I have a couple different slides. The first slide is gonna show my top 5 posters from the canceled shows, and then 34 through 31. So my least favorite poster, all the way through the top 5 for canceled shows. Are we ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into this whole thing. So one dot. And this. All right, so let's get into the cancel posters first. I have my least favorite as the Romero, which was a Las Vegas print. For me, it was just I wasn't a big fan of the color scheme. It reminded me of Pee Wee Herman's that floating head that was in the box, so it didn't really resonate with me. I know a lot of people loved it. Just for me, it just doesn't scream Vegas.
I agree. It wasn't I have to say we are in agreement on. I don't want to jump to number 1, but
Yeah.
I love that Oliver Barrett did a poster, and I love the poster because I love Oliver Barrett. I've been following him for quite a while on Instagram, fellow Ohioan. So shout out to Oliver. But yeah, I love his stuff, and I was really happy to see it.
So you jumped to number 1. Yes, number 1. So my number 1 was Prague, the Barrett, which was fantastic. I love this. The red background and the
red
contrast and
background,
everything.
his illustration style is just really, it's really warm and free flowing and has a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of skill there, but it's not, he's got really great line work. So I really enjoy his stuff.
Correct. My number 2 was that Nyark one. I've never heard of the person previous to this.
Yeah.
I like the color palette of this better than Clawson's and Tomo 77, and that's why it went to number 2 between everything. Because I mean these three legitimately, now if they were in the regular shows, they'd probably be a little bit more spread out. But because we're in only 5, these are better to me than the Vegas ones. But it was a color scheme for me that really put this up there. I like the fun colors on it. The story doesn't scream Vienna to me at all. I was hoping, Italy reminds me more of different things. It's interesting. I don't know. Pearl Jam
It's
t-shirt.
it's different. I mean, it's different. I like the fact that it's different, but it's a miss for me overall. I do like that that they're trying something new and going outside the box. But this is a great poster. I think if you want to like hang it in your kids' room, I
Yeah,
think it's a kids' room poster. But it's nice. It's quality, well style. I mean, interesting. Just not my cup of tea.
sure. No, totally understand that. Hey, just one more thing. Melina, I'm not sure, because this has like been on a constant podcast, keeps coming over things. Melina, you keep saying a Pearl Jam t-shirt. We don't sell Pearl Jam t-shirts. The only t-shirts that we do sell is we sell touring fan t-shirts, and we have shirts getting shipped out this week that are touring fan art t-shirts. And we started shipping them today, but if it's a Pearl Jam t-shirt, that's not us. We're not associated with Pearl Jam. You might want to reach out to them. Um, Going back to the list, I guess the Clawson one. Clawson did a lot of prints for the 2022 tour, so it is there's a lot there. This is probably not my favorite one out of the series. But I like the colors. There was the whole story between all three of them being the sisters. I really dig that. It's a really Clawson has a style to his work, and you either like it or you don't. I know a lot of people made it very clear this tour they weren't big fans. They wanted less Clawson. I've always enjoyed Clawson's work. A lot of his work is up on my walls. It's a different style. It's just really, it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
I love Brad. I actually just messaged him recently because we had met at some shows, and he's just the nicest guy. He's insanely talented. Um, I love the fact that he tied all of his posters together. I love the fact that his style has evolved over the years. I mean, when we had initially talked about this show, it was going to be our favorite Pearl Jam posters ever. And as far as I'm concerned, his showbox with the eagle, which was the first screen printed poster he ever did for anybody,
Mm-hmm.
is one of the top 5 Pearl Jam posters ever. It is, and it will always be. I think it's insanely amazing. I have one. I cherish it. He's just so good and such a nice person, which
Yeah.
also just goes along with it. But yeah, I love what he's doing. I think he is always pushing the envelope and thinking outside of any box. There's no box that holds Brad Clawson. So I love what he does.
We got to remember too. So he's one of the originals, right? He's been around for a long time and has done a lot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's it's crazy. It's fantastic what his body of work has been. I mean, there's probably in the top 15 greatest posters of all time. Brad Clawson's name is going to be in Pearl Jam's world is going to be on that list quite a few times.
I totally agree.
Quite a few times.
Yeah, I'd say at least 5. I mean,
God, easy,
yeah,
easy.
And that would be a hard 5 to choose because the man is just he's unreal. So
uber talented.
Yeah.
All right, now let's go to from worst. Now let's not say worst because art is relative, right? So everyone's gonna look at art differently. This just to me is I did this as from hanging it on the wall to not hanging on the wall. So basically I'm going in the order of never. So basically I would say 34 through 23 I'll never even enter my flat file. Then after that it's going to go into a flat file, and then like from there like my top 10 will probably be on the wall. Silly question, was Clawson ever part of Ames Bros? No. Brad Clawson worked directly for Pearl Jam in the early days of 10 Club in the early I think it was late 90s, early 2000s.
He actually like kind of cold called them and sent them artwork, and that's kind of how he got his foot in the door. So he never. I mean, he wasn't a part of Ames Brothers. I'm sure that they've collaborated on things together, and just as being kind of I would say the two kind of seminal art pieces of Pearl Jam history. It's Ames and Clawson. I mean, I think, but
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, so let's go from least favorite to my favorite. So first is the Williams Fresno. Now listen, this kind of goes against what I said before about having it being show specific, right? You know, we have, and also Matt, I would say this, if you go back to my interview with Brad Clawson does talk about, and this is going back to the early days of Touring Fan, he does have he goes right into everything on the show about how he got into Pearl Jam and all that stuff. So it's a great interview. You can definitely check that out. But the Ian Williams, who I love Ian Williams is always going to be, any tour, Ian Williams is extremely is in with Mr. T-Shirt, who does all the stuff for Pearl Jam, so you're almost guaranteed an Ian Williams, Brad Clawson, and an Amesbro print during a tour. It always seems like those three are going to be around. Fresno is known for its horses. I get
the Fresno, I get the horses. I don't get what it has to do with Pearl Jam. So
yeah,
that's where it kind of falls flat for me.
I don't like the colorway. That's a big one for me. You know, I will say this. And I'm looking at it right now. I don't mind the font. I think the font's kind of nice. But
no, it's fine.
But like the horse head, and then, you know, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was like the horse head in the bed in Godfather. Like, you know, like finding
Well, there you go.
So, but there's that. So
a little less bloody.
So this was my least favorite of the tour. Is that fair for you, or is this higher up on your list?
You know, I'd probably bump it up ahead of number 33, which is the digest from Oakland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. I always appreciate the attempt to get new artists into the fold. I think that's great. I love seeing new talent and finding new talent and that kind of stuff. But this is a little scatterbrained to me. There's not a lot of focus to it.
Well, and then that's when things get even. When we talk about scatterbrain, we get to the next one, and I find like this is interesting because the artist's name has changed from when he was doing stuff. Back when because this is Zio Ziegler, but he's in a new thing with another artist, and they call it Digest or something. And this is the Oakland print. And Zio Ziegler is an interesting character. He makes different things, you know, and it's different, right? Like, you know, it's just not for me. It's
a different style. It's just not my style.
Correct.
Yeah,
100%. And I've seen, and I will say this, I've seen about 90%.
I appreciate like the. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I've seen most of these posters in person. So, and I've like, and that does take away from a couple of things, but like this, I just don't know if I'd ever put this on the wall. I don't. The blue font against the yellow and orange tones just doesn't do it for me. I feel like the color palette wasn't for me, and I was just
honestly, so looking at the back, did it say like Shredder's Digest on the back?
Something
the
like
skeleton
that.
Praying. I kind of like that better than the front.
There's a few posters like that for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here on Google Images, and I'm kind of digging that more so than the front. So
yeah, Denver 13 for sure is that for me. Like there's this huge like spider on the front, and then on the back is like these like cartoon characters and stuff like that are actually more appealing to me than the actual main poster. So it is interesting for me. Number 32 on the list is the Amsterdam poster. I know some people are going to disagree with me on this. I'm just not into spray paint art as much as other people is. This artist is world renowned. I know this was a big want from Mr. T-Shirt so I think there was a lot to that. It just didn't do anything for me. I just wouldn't put this up on the wall for me. This is not my style.
I also think that I appreciate, trying to expose people to different types of art, especially, like street art, spray painting. I think that the challenge of that is, I also have to say I appreciate the attempt to get more female artists on the docket, which is great.
Absolutely love that. So smart.
But I think that the challenge with bringing in a street artist and is the design chops and just the standard. I'd call it like the standardized font that's used here, and it even kind of I think kind of encroaches on the image a little bit. Because I think that the skeleton with the heart, there's something going on with the heart. I don't know if it's got a face or something on it, but I feel like I'm losing that underneath the font. So I think that the design aesthetic can kind of hinder the street artist when we come into kind of the concert poster venue.
Correct. And actually, you said something that really stood out to me. The font to me is it's very heavily used. It's a very common font, right?
Yeah, it's an afterthought.
Yeah.
This is a realized piece of work, and then I think that to me it looks like, and I'm not saying that it is, but it looks like the font is just like we need to put Pearl Jam on there somewhere. Let's just put it right there.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it kind of encroaches on the image, and we kind of lose a little bit of the meaning there, which stinks because I think overall I can tell that this person is talented. This woman is talented and
super talented.
There's something she's trying to get across to me that I can't quite figure out.
Correct. And I think that goes for my number 31, for instance, that Egon Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky. This, I listen, I get what they're trying to go for, but I don't understand what it has to do with Louisville, Kentucky. If this was
I know what you're going to say. If this is a New Orleans print,
100%.
There you go. Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't.
I get it. I get it. If it were New Orleans, Louisville,
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, Louis. And then it's the other thing too is like I try to understand like is that his neck and then his hands are coming out of his head, like or is his hands behind his head, and then it's
I
like
don't.
He's smoking.
Yeah,
with like
he is. Yeah,
he's smoking Pearl Jam. So he's high on Pearl Jam, I suppose. I guess. It's just I don't, and it's like, what does this have to do with Louisville, Kentucky? Like, I'm gonna tell you something.
Maybe I don't know a lot about Louisville.
Mark Kirby lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and he says it has nothing to do with Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, I will trust you, Mark, because I live 2 hours away from Louisville and have been there once. So.
All right, listen. I want everyone to close your eyes. I'm gonna give you the perfect poster for Louisville, Kentucky. Instead of it being your 18 by 24, ready? It's going to be your 12 by, nine by 12, 9 by 18 or something like that, the little wide. You know what I'm talking about? And then instead of it, it's going to be a baseball bat. And then it's going to be like the engraved wood is going to be the name, is going to be Pearl Jam. And then you're going to have like a field behind you. And then in the field is going to be a corn.
I don't want to be accused of pumping my own work. But I have done one poster for a show in Louisville. I don't have any for sale, so don't ask. But it was a Wilco poster that I did a boxing glove, and it had the background was a birds and bees referencing Muhammad Ali, Louisville, birthplace of Muhammad Ali. So stuff like that. But I don't know. But I know that's a great idea. Somebody should do that.
You should, someone should do that. Well, Melina Melina says, if you both made a poster, what would you do? Well, I've made a poster before. Mine's never nearly as good as the talented artist to my, which side are you on? I think I'm going to point to the right direction. Yeah, look at this. I'm pointing to the right direction finally on my left-hand side.
It is. It's all different.
It is. It's always.
I've had so many different ideas, and I think that I've even thought of just doing things. But I think that part of it is I wouldn't really want to plan ahead of time. I would want to know the city. Part of doing posters for me is doing research. I love doing research into the cities. I love going back and listening to back catalog stuff to come up with. I've always wanted one of my favorite songs is Dirty Frank. It's a song that I would love to hear. I will probably never hear live. But I've always wanted to do a Dirty Frank themed poster, which would probably never get accepted because it would have beheaded Mike McCready and stuff like that. But it would have little references to, a homicidal bus driver. and the band, but
I get
I
it.
love, I love Dirty Frank. I think it's a great song.
I
I
th-
don't,
you,
and I hope that maybe that they've got Klinghoffer from the Chili Peppers, that maybe they would break it out. I know they did it
mm.
at an Earthling show, but I don't know if they would ever do it at a Pearl Jam show.
Well, I think I'm expecting we're going to see more Earthling shows coming up soon. So I have feeling like the Midwest and Central areas are going to be good. If they come to Kansas City, you have a place to stay. So
Thank you.
there we
Well,
go.
I hope they played Dirty Frank.
There
So,
we go. All right.
alrighty. So next on the list is the number
Oh,
30.
number 30. This one's hard for me too. Like I had a hard time going to shows and like the poster's terrible. And this was my first show of 2022 and I was in line. The whole story is on the last episode with Dale for One of Everything, but like I was just so upset with this poster. Ames does great work when they want to, and then they do not so great work when they want to as well. And this is a great example of I'm not saying, listen, I'm no artist by any means. But I feel like if you gave me 12 hours in Photoshop, I feel very confident that I can do this exact same poster.
It's not. I love Ames. I'm a big Ames fan. I think that the other posters that they did for the tour, I really loved Copenhagen. I loved Camden, and I loved London. I thought they were all awesome. I was really, really excited by all of them. This one kind of let me down. Um, but nobody's perfect. I mean,
No?
three. I think three home runs by Ames, and are not everybody, you can't necessarily bring it every single time. So
The only hard thing about it is as a person, I know a lot of people only got to see Pearl Jam one time on this tour. And
that's always hard. I
and
think.
it's tough when they get stuck with this. If they only went to one LA show and this is the poster they're stuck with, and then they see, I don't know, anything else, because I don't want to give up any of the rest of my list. But hell, if they
Sure.
see Copenhagen, which is number 23 on my list, as you can
Mhm.
see, they're probably like,
Or
oh,
even the Zeb Love from LA2. I thought a friend, a very nice poster buddy, snagged me one, and I was really impressed. I love Zeb. I've got several Zeb pieces, um, but I really loved that piece. I thought it was just really deep, and
mm.
there was a ton going on. So I really liked the art style was deep. I like Zeb's art style, so I
Well,
really liked that one.
that's number 28 on
It's
my list.
28.
28,
Yes.
but 29 is that Zupa Denver. And there was a lot of hate for that online when that came out. And for me, and I have this poster and I've looked at it a few times and I've tried to love it. And for me, it's just too much. I just don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Yeah, not for me.
Yeah. I do like. I love that old style. It's the Tibetan, like the Tibetan art style. I
Mhm.
really dig that. I don't get the firefighter stuff,
So
but
there's a big
is
firefighter museum in Denver.
okay. Okay. Um, I don't get how that works with the Tibetan stuff, but there was fire in Tibetan. It's just not my cup of tea. I don't.
Yeah,
It doesn't coalesce for me. So
correct.
we'll keep it at that.
Number 28 is Zeb Love LA2. A lot of people love this. And yeah, I, what, okay, so it has something to do with Gigaton. I guess if you want to talk about how it has, global warming, dinosaurs, all that stuff. It says Pearl Jam on it. So you got the band and it does talk about like the oil pits of California. But for me, I would never hang this on my wall. It's not for me.
hmm I like it. I think I like the depth of the artwork. There's a lot of layers going on, and there's a lot of stuff happening. I have it. It is in my file right now. Um, but but there are a lot of things in my file right now, so that's
Yeah.
just it's no disrespect to this. I really liked it especially when I saw it in person. I think it really jumps off the paper in person.
Mm.
But I understand
No, I
it's
get
not
it.
everybody's cup of tea.
Number 27 is another Brad Clawson from the Sisters trilogy. So this is the Glendale, Arizona one. If you're going back to my 5 of the canceled shows, I actually would pick the purple one over this one. This one, just from, you have to be close to it to appreciate it, but further back from me, it's a little bit. It's just not. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I have this one too, and I do agree that up close it's pretty stunning.
Yeah.
Just and like we'd already talked about, this was my favorite Clawson of the whole tour.
Okay.
Definitely. But yeah, I like how he keeps his concepts and runs them together, and it's very tight and extremely well thought out. I think that his work is some of the most, um as far as working artists today, it's just some of the most deeply conceived work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very. There's a lot going on in a Clawson piece. I mean, I think it's up there with like Emick with the amount of stuff that's happening. So, and it's always rooted in what's going on in the world. So I appreciate that as well. So.
I couldn't agree. I mean, I very much agree with you on that one. And I love the fact when he put the first one out, he didn't say, "Hey, this is a part of a series." Like, he didn't even announce that all 3 were together, how it worked, until all 3 came out, and he's like, "Hey, this is a part of this," and then it just.
I'm telling you, there's nobody more just like down to earth and just humble than Brad Clawson. He's just like, he's the coolest person you'd ever want to meet. I mean, he's a super nice dude.
Oh yeah, and he's so easy to talk to.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really, really cool.
Definitely. Next on the list.
Do you want me to tell a weird story?
I definitely want to hear a weird
story.
Okay,
so back in the gigposter.com days when I had kind of started doing stuff, and then Brad had started doing stuff, Queens of the Stone Age had a contest. It was a gig poster design contest, and I drew something that I thought was cool and I really liked, and then I was looking. Then they actually had the entries on the Queen's website, and then I saw Brad did one, and I was like, "Fuck! There's no way I'm winning if Brad is in there." And then we kind of connected on gig posters, and I was like, "Hey, man, I saw your Queen's poster. It's really awesome." I was like, "I can't believe they just didn't come to you instead of having a contest." And he's like, "Man, I thought yours was really good too." I was like, "He's like, when I saw it, I thought, man, that's a lot better than mine." I was like, "Shut up." I was like, "There's no way," but yeah, that's how we kind of cross paths, and he's just a really cool dude.
And what I love about him is he's so humble and old school.
Yeah.
We had a conversation not too long ago where I was helping him get his social media up and running with his Instagram and his Facebook and stuff, because he's he's all about the art. He doesn't care about that side of things, but he realized, like, hey, listen, I need to get out there in the world, so I need to kind of keep an eye on it. So I helped him out. He's his Instagram now. He's posting a lot of his old stuff up on there, things I forgot he even did, and he's doing a great job of it. So big shout out to him. He's fantastic. All right, let's go to number 26, Diaz in Budapest. I will say this was higher on my list until I got it.
Oh, okay. What were your thoughts when you got it?
If you put this up in a bedroom, right, and you're looking from it across the way, it looks like it almost looks like an ink blot. It doesn't look like an image, and it just didn't. It just didn't do well. This number 26 and 25 are the same thing for me, because these both were higher on my list until I received both of them, and then they both were like, it just, in person, they weren't as stunning to me as I was hoping they would have been. And realistically, these are probably going to be something that I give away at our next event or something like that we have, because most of the time I get these from, or I buy from, they're going to, I have enough posters and not enough wall space, so they're going to be used for something at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. I agree. It's just not my personally not my cup of tea. I prefer more color, and the text comes across as a bit more of an afterthought. It's not as integrated into the image as I generally like to see. But
and someone told me, and I don't know if it's true, and I'd have to go back and look, but that the gentleman who and I don't know much about this artist, but he he doesn't take the pen off paper much. He actually
Okay.
does like continuous work without like actually lifting it off the paper, which if you're looking at it, maybe that's true. I have no idea. But
Yeah.
I don't understand what this has to do with Budapest. I don't understand what this, I mean, it just, yeah, for me.
Yeah.
Now, listen, the Krakow one, I thought this was going to be a top 10 for me. Like, but in person, I think it looks better online than it does in person. It's just it's a little
Really?
much. There's too much going on in the poster. And then the dragon head in the background, like I thought there'd be depth in it. Like I thought looking at this image you'd see some depth. And for me, it
Mhm.
just doesn't. I just feel like the color scheme just didn't work for me as much as maybe it would be better off being black and white.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell online looking at it. Um, I mean, there's probably I assume some sort of a Krakow and alligator type of thing going on there, but it's a little too busy for me, I
Sure,
think. Is what, I kind of like the colors, but I think that all of the darkness in the middle, you lose a lot of kind of what's going on.
I can see that. Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you on that 100%.
Hmm.
So next on my list at number 24 is Quiggle, and that's Quebec City. And my first question I have is, what does this have to do with Quebec City? Is there people in Quebec City who are riding owls right now with sword in hand defending their city?
I do not know, but I have to say I really, really like this poster.
Oh,
I
so
did.
we have one we disagree on.
Yeah, I do like Rob Quiggle's style, and I thought that this was, and I know nothing about Quebec, so I'm
Sure.
not going to pretend that there's some like owl riding thing going on. But I really dug. I really liked it. I liked how this maybe from more of a designery perspective. I liked
I
how
can see that.
I liked how the text was integrated into the image. It's very um, it's very all in and of itself. It's all together. One, you know, telling one kind of story. I guess I don't know what the story is, but I like it.
I
I
can
mean,
see that.
yeah, I was really I really dug it. I don't know if it's like a Joan of Arc kind of a thing or whatever, but I like the colors. I like the colors, and I like how it's all kind of integrated together. So and it looked different for a Pearl Jam poster. I really
It
don't know necessarily what it has to do with Pearl Jam, but I think it was one of those ones that just kind of worked for
okay.
me,
I can
even
see
though
that.
it didn't. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Hey, listen. We're not going to agree on everything, but we're going
no,
to continue.
understandably, yes, we are.
Number 23 is the Ames Copenhagen. And I know you said you like this one, so I'm assuming that we're definitely different on the list on this one when it comes to where mine is, where yours are. Um, I like the different color schemes that they had in
Hmm.
this one when you looked at like when because Ames has like 5 different variants when the day they go dropped.
Yeah, yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of this color scheme compared to some of the other ones they did. The only thing I have to say about this one is I like the idea of it, but I just wish they would have spaced them out a little bit more because I feel like they were like the actual bees are on top of each other a little bit too much, and then you kind of
Hmm.
miss out on some of the details
Yeah.
that that are attractive, like the lightning bolts. And that's when I kind of like the lightning bolts maybe a separate color from the backdrop because the yellow
Yeah, yeah, it
backdrop's the
is.
yellow lightning bolts.
The red variant where the lightning bolts are white. Yeah, where the lightning bolts are white, and that does kind of call them out a little bit more. Um, but yeah, I really like this one. This was not my favorite Ames of the tour, but it really made me think of kind of the political stuff that they were doing earlier on. Either the Texas uh, kind of gorilla with the fly talking in his ear, the gorilla that looked like George Bush with the fly talking in his ear, or some of the ones that they did in Australia several years ago with like the businessman kind of Hulk with the camera on his head
Yep.
running and things like that. It kind of uh, reminded me of those posters, and those are some of my favorite Ames work.
Definitely. All
Mm.
right, let's move on to the next set of ones. We're going to go through 22 through 15 now. 22. So now this is a very sensitive topic for some because some people hate this poster. For me, now once again, I guess Hamilton. They were what I've read into it has a lot to do with moose,
Mhm.
and I don't know what eggs, maybe something. I have no idea, but I love the guitar, the antlers, and I kind of dig the weird art a little bit in this one. I love the soft muted tones in it, and like it's kind of cool to me. I dig it.
I do like it. It's different, and I like that. It made me think a lot of the I believe it was Monk did and I like the street art kind of vibe on this one. But it reminded me of the Monk. There was a Monk poster for Pearl Jam that was a moose many moons ago. It was
Oh
a
yes,
longer one. It made me think of
yes.
that because I believe that he did. I believe it said Pearl Jam and the Antlers as well. So for me, I was kind of like, oh, Pearl Jam and the Antlers has kind of been done, but I like it. I think it's different.
I get it. I'm trying to remember what the heck it was now. Hold on. Oh yes, it was. I think was that a Hamilton one as well.
It
Actually, it's
might
been
have
done.
been.
This would be the third time it's been done because it was done like a cartoon style. I'm trying to open it.
It was Toronto.
Vancouver had this one, if you remember that one.
Yes.
Okay, and then there
And
was
the Monk one is 2011. It was
correct.
Ontario. It was Toronto,
Yes,
Ontario.
yes.
And
So
the reason I thought of that one was because I think that won some that one. I think that won
mhm.
some awards at the end of the year. So I just recalled that one, and it's also one of my favorites. So, um, not that you can't do the same thing that somebody else has done, but um, you just got to be. I think not that anybody or not that it's a rip. I'm not saying that it's a rip. I'm just saying it was evocative of that
Yeah.
original image. So.
All right, number 21. I have Diamond, and that's that Landgraf, wherever that was, somewhere in the Europe. So I will say this. This one daily can move up the list for me or go back down the list for me. Like sometimes I look
Okay.
at this print and I'm like, this is beautiful. And then there's sometimes I'm like, but what? Like this is just not a band print. Like if this was an art piece, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think
But
it
as
is
a
beautiful. I
yeah,
agreed, but I just don't. To me, it doesn't. I don't get what this has to do with. I don't get what it has to do with Pearl Jam. I think that it's may have something to do with Landgraf, and that's totally cool. And I think it is beautifully done.
yeah.
Great colors, everything. The execution is there, but yeah, to me, it is a Pearl Jam poster. So.
Well, and that's the whole. I mean, like if you're buying this, you're buying it because you want it to be a Pearl Jam poster. You want it to be up on the wall, so it brings that moment. That moment, it's a beautiful piece, but I just don't know what it has to do with Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I agree.
Next on the list at number 20 was the Stockholm poster, and this is Ander. Now, a lot of people are going to probably yell at me for being this high up on the list. There is things about this I do like a lot, and it's the fact that this is an Ander print. Like I thoroughly enjoy this artist, and his artwork is completely different than most. He
Mhm.
uses a lot of light to really portrait his work. It's out there if you really dig into it. It's different. I don't like the fact that Lollapalooza is so big on it. That was a kind of a kill buzz for me. I dig the fly, I like the hand. If you look at, it's hard to draw hands. I mean, that's a tough thing to do, and that's a
Oh,
focal
hands are
point.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and I kind of like the Pearl Jam font because it's one of the most unique ones of the entire tour. I thought was this Pearl Jam font. I thought this was hand driven. It's cool. I dig it.
I do like the font. It's different. And I like the colored paper. I do like a colored paper. Colored paper stock is always fun. Um, Not my cup of tea,
Okay.
but it's adequate.
So this is lower on your list.
This would be lower on my list, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, number 19, I have a show I went to with Ian Williams in St. Louis, and here's why I'm not a big fan, but I like it. It is much better in person than the imagery that you're going to get online. I will say that. The colors do pop really well on it. There's a lot of colors on this. It is very much right to the city. So if people, this is where I guess where we kind of put our foot in our mouth. Like we complain that it's not about the city, then we complain it's too much like the city, and then it's it's too specific to the city. And I get like some sport specific stuff. If you're not a Cardinals fan, like how this could be some distaste to you, but it doesn't say St. Louis Cardinals on it. It's just it is what it is. It is beautiful in person. This is my next poster to hang up. And I thought this was done really well. It's a fun little baseball card, and then it's just got a cardinal for a head. I mean, it's it just kind of does it. It really hits every nail on the head. It's if you wanted a city specific, where it was around what the city's about. It's clean and colorful, and it's kind of fun. This poster kind of nails all those right on the head.
I really like this one. It's my favorite. It's my favorite Williams style. He's got a couple of different styles. I think if you look back at the one that we looked at earlier, which was the Fresno one. I like this kind of style where he does something and then there's like the tear in the paper.
Yep.
So I that's my favorite style of his. I don't think you can go wrong with a sports card motif. I think it always usually works. It's becoming pretty popular, but I still think it's fun to look at because it's the whole, oh, it looks like a baseball card, but it's not. And yeah, I think the colors are vibrant and really cool. So I like this one a lot.
So Brad has a question for you.
Yeah.
If you really like font, does that make it fantastic?
It does. And being a big font nerd, yes, it does make it fantastic.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. Okay. Moving on to number 18. This is a Cooper. And I will say this. Most of his work is a skinnier print. Like it's a lot of the ones I have. So it was interesting to see him do a full 18 by 24. I like this. The thing that I didn't like is, and I learned this a lot watching Ink Master, is the contrast. I feel like the contrast is rather flat, and it doesn't make it doesn't pop as much as it could be, especially in the headpiece. And that's where I find like I look at it a little bit, and I'm like, to me, and I'm not saying maybe he didn't, but it just seemed a little rushed in some areas.
This is my favorite poster of the tour.
No.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
I love Cooper. I love his style. I love his line work. I think it's, I love statues. I love the font. Not my favorite, but I'm willing to let it go. From an artistic standpoint and just all the things that I like, this was my favorite poster of the tour.
Wow. So we are off by 18 on this one.
Hey, well, it's okay.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Then the next one's Townsend London. This is really, I enjoy this. She did a fantastic job.
I want to get a closer look.
So what I love about this one is the depth. If you look at this poster, and I have this one as well, and you're looking from like that, if you look at it hand, it almost feels like you're going into the poster. The contrast from the blue to the yellow in the background, and the way that the Pearl Gem's floating above it. The only thing I wish Pearl Gem was more in the actual statue, and it just wasn't a random flying blue thing. But for me, that
would be
in this
really
poster,
cool if it was part of the statue. But I gotta say, I love like the cartoony monsters.
Yeah,
I think those are sweet, and I love that. It's like, to me, it's almost like two posters. I mean, you get like the architecture, the London, the architecture, and we get some and a deer, and then we get some cartoon like monstery comic stuff, which I think is interesting to mix the two together and I think it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very well done.
Great. Next is my favorite Clawson. I think it's my favorite Clawson. Maybe I'm wrong.
Ever? Or just
no.
Okay.
Actually, no. On this list, no, it's not my favorite Clawson. This Clawson's done so well, and it is so awesome in person. This will, if I went to Nashville, I'd probably hang on the wall, but because I didn't, this will probably be at our next event for an auction. But this thing looks really good, and I love the guitar neck, and I love the rats on it, and they actually played rats in Nashville, which was really cool. And there was so much to it that, like, it was absolutely fantastic. It was really good.
Yeah, I really like this one too. just I love the guitar neck on the side. Um, this I think that you're right. I think that this is probably my favorite Clawson of the
Mm.
tour.
Well, mine
Um,
is coming up, but this is
okay,
definitely good.
I just love all of it. The rats on the pants, just the
Yeah.
detail. Um, you know, the imagery so evocative of like just Nashville and everything. So yeah, knocked. I love the rats on the jacket, the rats on the
Yep.
pants. I knocked it out of the park, and they
Yeah,
played
totally.
rats at the show, so that's
And yeah,
perfect.
nail on the head.
Yeah.
Number 15 on my list is Ames Camden. Once again, I love this poster. It doesn't really, I don't know what it has to do with Camden. I thought the font was done super well, very Ames like. You can see it's hand drawn. I don't know what this presidential person surfing has to do with Camden, but it's fantastic. I dig it. I like the white border on it too, so it gives you the ability to kind of frame it out a
hmm
little bit, which is something that a lot of people don't do. Um, you know,
I like it. It's my So I have a tie for second for my second favorite poster, and this is one of them. Um, I just loved everything about it. I love the colors. I'm assuming it's George Washington.
I
Um,
think so.
I'm guessing it's George Washington, and I like that he's surfing because I like when you take something, and I assume George Washington has some sort of a Camden connection. Um, and I like that you make George Washington surf because it's weird. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, definitely. I totally want
Yeah.
to agree with you on that one. All right, let's move on to my next list as we get closer and closer to the top. Well, we're going to get into the 10, but not the top 10 fully as we get through 14 to 7. Because I did top 6, like the way I spaced it out. I had a hard time spacing these out correctly. So this was the easiest way to do it. So let's dig into this one. Number 14 on this list is the Pedro London. Now, what artist, when you look at this, what artist do you think you see in this?
Um, I mean, I love a squid. Let me tell you. Anytime there's a squid or tentacles or anything like that, I'm all about a squid. Um, I don't. Not an artist doesn't really jump. I mean, maybe Emic, but just because of the really centered image and the text. But no, who are you thinking?
I thought like Monk One, Emic, yeah, Emic, yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely thought so. Um, definitely. I mean, it's just in that. It's really fun. It's clever. I would put
yeah.
that. We're getting into an area now. I would probably put this on my wall. Yeah, definitely. I love it. I do love this print. The colors on it are great, and there's so much
Are they?
into it. If you
Yeah,
look into it more, there's a lot of stuff going on.
yeah. There's the jellyfish and space, and this is a this is a solid gig poster. I mean, I really like it. I love how and here's the nerdy design thing. I like how the show text is incorporated into the bus. So
100%. It is it,
yeah,
and the font is. I dig the
I
font.
love
I
that
like it.
font. I don't think I've seen
Mm-mm.
any font like that. I mean, it's really evocative of old school like Fillmore stuff, but
Yep.
it's original. So I like that font a lot.
100%. Number 13 on my list of top Pearl Jam posters of 2022 is the Ames London. So this might be higher up on my list since I got it. This actually looks fantastic in person. The red imagery almost reminds me of like Wicker Man almost.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I thought.
Oh, it is so good. This is a great poster. This is a
This
fa-
is
this.
my tied for number 2 with Cameron.
Oh,
I love this. I loved this as soon as I saw it. I think the red really pops off the black and the gray in the background. Um, I liked the Wicker Man reference. It's Chef's Kiss. I loved it.
Brian. Brad has a question for you.
Okay,
How many tickles does it take to make an octopus giggle?
8.
I don't know. I'll have to wait for his answer now. Oh, here it comes. Ready? Tentacles.
Yes. Good
Oh,
one, Brad.
Jesus, him and his jokes.
Loved it.
Number 12 on the list is my favorite Clawson from the tour. The colors on this. and the way it lays out and the way the depth, I will tell you in person, the tree on this, the green, because it's tough to do contrast from green to green, like the way it works. This is a fantastic poster.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I like kind of like the Native American vibe going on, with the, with the colors and the lettering. I mean, I love how Brad just takes, he makes the Pearl Jam. It's not even a font. I mean, he made it by itself is
It's a
like
piece of art.
art. It's a piece of art just there.
Yeah.
And how it all works together with his overall concept. It's great. I
Totally agree
might,
with you.
I don't know. Do I like this one more than Nashville? That's
I'm telling
I
you,
don't know.
this in person is money. It is money.
It's great. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Number
deny that.
11 on the old list of top posters from the 2022 tour is Gallagher Oakland. I like this. It is a pretty piece. My wife
Mhm.
likes it. This is easy to go up on the wall.
It's easy to go up on the wall. I mean, and as soon as you look at it, what is the first thing you think of?
Pearl
In My
Jam.
Tree. Well,
Oh,
In My
damn
Tree
it.
is that's exactly what I thought. And to me it was like, yeah, that's a Pearl Jam poster. I was
Mm,
I was really I have to say I wasn't familiar with her work, but I was really impressed with this poster. And I thought it was a standout of the first leg,
I can
definitely.
agree with you on that one. Yes,
Hmm.
100%. She does fantastic work, and she is someone that I think, you know, she's going to get bigger. I mean, her body of work is getting bigger and bigger. But she's done a lot of pop culture, and she's doing more now in the concert world, and I think
Cool.
it's gonna blow up quick. So,
Yeah, yeah, really like that.
all right, now we are getting into the top 10 Pearl Jam posters of 2022 by none other than Anthony choosing them. So my opinion means, you know, whatever. I mean, it is, it's just my opinion. So we're going to go number 10 with the Schumer Berland. This poster is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. There is the line work is flawless. The colors, schemes, the contrast, the lighting, it is stunning to me. I'm not sure, and I don't know much about Europe because but I'm assuming this is Berlin, but this is beautiful to me. Everything to it, even the border on it is absolutely stunning.
I get. The first thing I think about. I mean, I like it. It's not exactly my cup of tea. I do like how it's got like a stamp. It looks like a stamp. So it's
Around
got
the
like a
edge.
vibe of, yeah, it's got like a vibe of a the border definitely makes it feel that way. I love how he's got the show text worked in there. Um, I get a little bit of a Shepherd Fairy vibe, but that's not a
Oh
bad
yeah.
thing.
No,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, yeah, I like it. I like it.
Oh, good.
It's not like blowing me out of the water, but it's good.
All right. Number 9 is Price and Zurich. This is a fun poster.
I like this one. I
This
really,
is
I
oh
do.
man,
I
this
like anything where you've got a lion playing hockey.
yeah,
That's
with
fantastic.
arrows in his back. I mean, the poor
Yeah.
guy is hurting right now and he's still playing hockey. I mean,
Yes.
you know,
And it makes
the
me think. I love the 23 because
mhm.
Eddie's a big Jordan fan. I think that really. I think it kind of ticks a lot of the boxes as far as a Pearl Jam poster. To me, this says Pearl Jam poster. So
100%. A lot of the
yeah,
colors good on it. I like the Pearl Jam font on it too. It is, and I
yeah.
will say this is a very used font. I mean, if this, even though if I don't know if this is drawn or typed out, but this is a very common font on a lot of posters that are coming out here
Hmm.
recently. But I mean, I dig, I like it. I like it a lot.
Me too.
Now I will say this: number 8 on my list was in my top 3 until somebody ruined it for me.
Who ruined it and how?
Well, if this person is watching and wants to talk about it, we can, but I'll let you know why.
Okay.
So I like this, but I just think it's a beautiful piece of art. I don't know if there's sharks in Toronto or deep sea diving in Toronto. I don't know how it works, but I will say
Hmm.
this: it's a beautiful piece. I love. It just feels like you're looking into an ocean. It's deep. It's beautiful to me.
Hmm.
But if you look really closely, it almost looks like they just threw font on a piece of art they already had.
Oh well. See, and I would hope that's not the case. Although
It is.
sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Um. Um. I do like that it is not your standard Pearl Jam piece.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really different and it stands out. I think the font could have been roughed up a little more to make it look like it was more part of the image. Um, but I think overall, I like this one because it's different. It's a different type of Pearl Jam poster, and it stands out so much. I think in this group of posters.
Yeah, it's a pretty piece, but yeah, if you go on his website, there's timestamps that show that this was a piece that was an art piece previously until he added font to it.
Well, you
And
know,
hey, listen, good for him.
yeah,
I'm gonna buy the
we've
art
all
piece.
we've all done that.
That's right. Well, I can't speak for
Possibly.
that. Maybe you, maybe not me.
Sometimes, sometimes it just works. Maybe in
right.
this case it doesn't, but
There
sometimes
you
it
go.
does work.
Number 7, Monk One France. Listen, Monk One is a fantastic artist, and I really love his work, and I love how he incorporates the font into the actual art piece itself,
Yeah.
giving Pearl
Mhm.
Jam a place that really stands out. That it's a huge piece, but you can get lost in it, giving it what it is, being the
Mhm.
Ferris wheel, not the Ferris wheel, the what is that thing called?
Oh, the merry-go It's not the
Merry-go-round.
merry-go-round. It is a merry-go-round. Okay.
Merry-go-round? I don't know. That sounds good enough to me.
Merry-go-wheel? Sure.
Merry-go-wheel? Sure.
Yeah.
Things that go up and down in a circle.
Yes.
I like it a lot. It is a
I
fun
do.
piece.
I like Monk. Monk's awesome. If you can see, I don't know if you can see back here, I have a Monk original. I'll bring it up for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
Look at that.
So I do have that. So obviously I like Monk. So yeah, it's a good. It's great.
Nice.
Everything he has. I like these colors. These are kind of different. It's kind of a
Mhm.
different color palette for him. And I think that that's really cool. It's nice to see, and especially we'll be looking at the Oklahoma City one later. It's like totally different.
Yeah,
It's like
100%. Two different worlds.
two different worlds,
Mhm.
and he rocks them both.
I agree so much with you.
Hmm.
All right. So brings us to now what is going to be our top 6. So you're going to see my top 6 if you're watching. If you're listening, you're going to have to wait till we get these top 6. But these are my top 6. And listen, people, there's going to be conspiracy theories. No, this is just my opinion on what the top 6 is. Like, this is just what I love. And I own all 6 of these pieces. And there's a reason between why I love all 6 pieces. And I will get into it. So here we go. And do I have a drum roll on this? I don't even know. Do I have a drum roll? Let me see. I got to work on that. I have this one. But yeah,
Yeah, I think that works.
that works. Okay. And
Yeah,
our
why
top
not?
6. We'll start with number 6, which is Dan Mumford in New York City. I love Dan Mumford's work. Even prior to him being on Touring Fan Live or prior to anything else, I own more Dan Mumford work than anything else that I own. I love his work, his pop culture, his color schemes, and that he consistently says that he believes all of his posters live in one entire universe, and that's why they can all fit together. I love Dan Mumford.
Oh, the depth, everything. I mean, the amount of detail. It's just, yeah. It's just. I mean, what more can you say? It's really gorgeous, and all of his work is gorgeous. I have a Star Wars poster of his in my kid's bedroom that I could just look at for hours because there's just so much going on in Dan's work. So yeah, kudos because this is just what more can you get with like Madison Square Garden
Oh,
post-apocalyptic and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's about it's got your it's got your referential to the city, it's got your gigaton stuff, it's got it's a Pearl Jam poster. So
and what
yeah.
and what I love what he did that no one else did is he did the poster from 2020. He did the poster from 2022, same city, and he kept it
Hmm.
like the poster from 2020. 2 years later, this is what the world like if we were still like it was like this whole idea of like put them next to each other. This is what it looks like that many years later.
Yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I love
Great
it.
stuff.
And listen, it works out great.
Hmm.
Number
Absolutely.
5 is who's turning into probably one of my top favorite artists, new artists that are coming out. Bella Grace. Her artwork is absolutely fire. And if you don't know nothing about Bella Grace, go find her on Instagram. I'm telling you right now, she is going to be, in 5 years, one of the top artists that is going to be thought after. She is fantastic. This piece is stunning. How Pearl Jam is utilized in the font, everything. What I love about this piece is if you didn't go to London and put this up on your wall, you can be further away. It is just an art piece with Pearl Jam on it, and it just stands out beautifully. The coloring, the contrast, the shading, everything about this piece just pops beautifully. And Bella Grace is to me the artist out of all of these to look out for the future. She is fantastic.
Yeah, I think this also ticks all the boxes that we had already talked about. It's, referential of London, obviously. Um, Pearl Jam ish. I don't know, but no, I think it's just exceptionally well done. I love how the red. I love how the red really pops off with the other colors. It's a great contrast. So I really like this poster too. It's really well done.
Yeah, big time.
Mhm.
Number 4 is Monk One in Oklahoma. I will say this. So I went to Oklahoma. It was my last show of the tour. This poster pops in person. It almost looks like it's lighting up from the color scheme of things.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of the Riot Act tour with the mask on his face. There's so much to it. The color scheme from it. I love, once again, the framing on the outside of the poster. I love the way that it's shaped and done. What I plan on doing for the frame up on this is going to cost me a good amount of money, but this is a fantastic poster, done so well. Monk One is consistently one of the top poster artists out there. He just does so much good stuff. Oklahoma City, big thumbs up for me.
This was my number 3 on my list. I think anytime you got a gas mask in a poster, I love it. I love the color scheme is just so different for Monk, and just different in general. I mean, this particular color scheme with the bleed going to the top of the split fountain. I'm sorry, with the split fountain is great. I just love the purple mixed with the kind of greenish blue. It's fantastic.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah, so love that. Love this poster.
Number 3 for me, I know some people are going to hate this, but first of all, I love Batman. Been a big Batman fan my entire life. Grew up on 67 Batman. Love it. In my basement, in my movie room, I have a whole wall dedicated to Batman prints. Love Batman. I don't own this print, and it is one of my big in search ofs. I love this. And what I love about it is, like, you got the 67 Batman vehicle, Batmobile driving down. I love the Pearl Jam, the San Diego. I like that swirly font to it.
Yeah.
I like how it's different. I like how it's just like, I feel like they're listening to Pearl Jam in the background. It's just, I don't know, it's just something fun about it. It's not for everybody. I understand that. This poster definitely fits a unique niche when it comes to, like, how they're getting certain people to like it and some people not to like it, because it is very unique to a certain class of people. A lot of people are like, well, I don't like Batman. Why the hell would I want this on my wall? Some of you might like it for Batman. Some people might like the colors to it. But for me, this personally hit the nail on the head for me multiple times.
Yeah, I really love this. I love Ward Sutton's work, his cartoon work, and his poster work is the baby Pearl Jam from, like, Rome is, I think, one of my top Pearl Jam posters. I think I love the handwritten font. I love the Batman reference because Eddie's got a lot of Batman stuff. So I mean that obviously coincides. There's your Pearl Jam. There's your Pearl Jam there. So I really like it. I do have a copy of this one, Anthony. Maybe we can talk.
Oh,
But yeah, somebody was kind enough to send me one.
Oh.
But so I'll let you know. But
Okay.
but no, I love this one too, and I thought it was great. I was really happy to see it so high on the list.
All right, number 2 was the Lowell Fleur. I think it's, I say Lua Fleur. I don't know much about this artist, but Frankfurt. This is, man.
Do you have this one?
Yes.
Okay, and in person, it's just
it's beautiful.
really.
It
looks
depth. Great. I love the artist did something, how the face comes through that smoke and change it, and how you have the hands in front of the smoke gives a depth perspective of it. There is this, Frank. So I looked into this a little bit too before I put this high on the list. Like, does it even fit the magic? Frankfurt has a lot of gypsies that live there. There's a lot of history of gypsy culture. especially in that and around the city. Loeffler. Let me see. As Brad Lang says, Loeffler. Thank you. He like put it out so I can pronounce it right. Loeffler. I love everything about this print. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. It's kind of spooky in its own sense. The depth to it. It's a different style. Clearly, everything here is hand drawn, including the fonts. I love this print so much.
Yeah, it's really different and in a really, really great way. I think that everything you've said is absolutely true. It's very kind of like pointillist, and kind of also just with the surrealist as well, with the eyeball on the apple. So yeah, I think that it's a really cool direction for a Pearl Jam print. So it's nice to see that.
Definitely.
And it's something that you could like hang in your house, and people might not even know it's a Pearl Jam print.
Correct.
Which isn't a bad thing.
Correct.
No, I
Yeah.
think it's really, really cool and just really, really different. So it was nice to see
It's
something
so
like that.
It's beautiful. Oh, it is a stunner for sure. All right, and number one, where I know I'm going to get slack for this because Bailey Race has a lot to do with Touring Fan Live, but I'm going to tell you something. I'll tell you everything I love about this print. One, I love the font. I love that this is the way that he went with this. I love the contrast from that it pops. I love the sky on this. I love the story of the guy with the guitar trying to catch his flight to wherever he's going. I love the mist of everything. It's very Led Zeppelin feeling, how the clouds. I love how the boats are flying around. It is a very pretty print. Out of all of the prints that Pearl Jam put out, besides the Bella Grace one, this is the one my wife would have let me hang up on the wall. Because I'm like, listen, I need to know out of these, what could I show? Because there's like different tiers of like what I can put up in the house.
Oh yeah, of course.
Can it go in my room? I can do whatever I want. Can it go in the guest room? I got to get wife's permission sometimes, but I can still put it up and she won't care. Can it go up in the house? Like I definitely need wife's permission. She loves this print and she doesn't love prints. A lot of people love this print. This is just a beautiful print. Now, does it have anything to do with Ottawa? On the back of the print, it talks about how the boats came and go from Ottawa from the trade scene back in the day, and people were always late to it because they always went on its own scene. So there's that catch to it. But for the most part, it's a beautiful print with Pearl Jam in a beautiful font, and I think it's just a stunner for me. And this is something that I love.
I really like the style. I like the colors. The illustration is impeccable. Don't dig the font so much, but I'm willing to let it slide.
Okay.
But because of the craftsmanship is just really, really top notch.
I will say this too. If you saw this in person, there is a
Oh, I'm sure that it's.
Brad actually says it too. There's a canvas look to it. Like the way that he drew this, he drew it so it looks like when it's screen printed, it looks like it's canvas. And
that
it's got texture.
That's a poster that I would really like to see up front. Like, I don't know if you're. I'm a big Landland fan, Dan Black, and I will spend hours just looking at his prints and be like, how does he get like that level of detail in how many colors?
Yeah.
I mean, so from a screen printing angle, I look at that and I'm like, how the hell do you get that screen printed? So that's pretty remarkable.
No, I know 100%. So now let me ask you this. Let's go back to another screen so we can have just our beautiful faces on there so everyone can just look at us as we talk about the posters. So what is your top 5 posters?
So my top 5 are the Cooper. Well, let's start at 5. We'll start at 5. The Pedro London is number 5.
Okay.
Number 4 is the Quiggle, Quebec. Number 3 is the Monk One, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Number 2 is a tie between Ames, London and Ames, Camden. And my number 1 is the Cooper, Imola.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really like those pieces. I think I hope we get more posters like that. But I love to see the variety. I love to see the new artists, and a smattering of the old. But yeah, I like to see the different stuff that's coming out, and the variety. And I hope that when you go to your show, and I hope you get a poster that you like.
So let me ask you this, Brian.
Go
You've
ahead.
been on the show a bunch. You've been a part of, doing podcasts. I mean, you actually were one of my first guests ever on a podcast when I did, Tap Time Live with Anthony. That was, it's crazy. I was looking at this. I did my first show back in 2018. That's how long I've been doing this shit
Wow,
for. And
that's
I
a
still
long
can't get it
time.
right. Like, I'm still like, I'm still stupid and ridiculous and don't know what the
Hey,
hell
I
I'm doing.
think we haven't had any like technical difficulties tonight, so I think you're
You know
doing
what?
pretty good.
It is. Listen, I have this new soundboard I have that I
That
don't know
looks
if
pretty classy. I mean,
I'm bump covered. I just got a new
That's-
mic coming in on Friday. I have my first in studio guest this weekend. I mean, like
Oh, cool.
we're getting there.
who's your in studio guest?
Mike Jama is going to be coming in. We're going to do Hitchhiker. He's going to be coming in. We're going to talk about his
Cool.
stories from the road and why he loves Pearl Jam and some stuff. And
Awesome.
yeah, I mean, I have this makeshift studio right now while my foundation continues to get worked on, so I can actually.
They're still working on that.
Oh, dude! Every time I think it's fixed, it's like
Something else.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It is insane. I will say
Yeah.
this. Shannon Majoey, who watches most of my shows and she's been a fan of mine for a long time, and I adore her dearly, and Matt Behan, who's on here as well. I think they can get a kick out of. They always joke about the technical difficulties. Literally tonight, we're going strong. We're going long. We're doing
We've
it
had
correct.
difficulty free. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. So
This is nothing but quality.
yes. That's right. This will sound good on a podcast tomorrow.
Absolutely.
But no, we're not too far away from having the permanent studio built, but we're really taking our time too. We're having a stage built, so that we can
Nice.
have things done. And no, I'm pretty excited about it. It's just taking time and going from there. But
Yeah.
but dude, it's crazy to think like back in 2018, you were the first guest. I'll never forget it. Like, we had a relationship, but I was like,
Mhm.
I want to get you on, and how do I ask? And it's crazy, whatever. It's good stuff. But
Yeah,
besides besides my foundation problems, everything else is going well in Missouri. It's just, but I have learned that like, holy shit, if Missouri and Kansas don't have the worst soil in the damn world, it is the absolute worst. I mean, I'm shaving doors. The doors are shaved too hard. I mean, I'm learning a lot.
Well, that's good. It's always good to continue learning.
Yeah. No,
But
it's
sometimes,
it's getting there. But yeah, no. So new board that makes some fun things. I can even do this.
That's what she said.
And it could do all fun stuff. And
awesome.
yeah, no, I'm excited about it. There's definitely some cool stuff in the workings, and and once again, I love chatting with you. So
You too, man. Appreciate it.
no, I appreciate you. But I think, like I said, I would say this, and this might be a popular or unpopular opinion. In my opinion, an overall landscape of all the posters that came out this year, this was probably my least favorite grouping of posters that Pearl Jam's put out in a grouping. There's some posters I love, some posters I didn't love, but overall, when you look at the grand scheme of things and you look at other tours, and for me personally, I feel as though this one was a little lackluster. Now, with that being said, before I let you say anything, Mr. T-Shirt has a lot more saying this than the band does. In the past, the band was more hands-on with the choosing of directions and stuff, so there was a lot of different things with that. So it is unique in that own sense. But for me personally, it just, and it's like I said, Ian Williams, you're always going to have him. He's a buddy of Mr. T-Shirt, and that's fine. I get that. Listen, it is what it is. That's cool. But for me personally, overall, this was, there was some highs, but there was a lot of lows.
I agree. That's just kind of the way it is, and it's unfortunate. But I think we try to take the highs when we can get them, and keep your fingers crossed that when you walk up to that merch booth, that they have a poster and that it's one that you want to hang on your wall.
Correct. Let me ask this last question to you, Brian,
Sure.
before we call it a show. How close were you ever to doing an official Pearl Jam show poster?
I don't know if I was ever close. I still to this day I don't know. I all I know is that one day I got invited to the first 10 Club poster convention,
Okay.
and to this day I don't know how I was ever invited. I don't know who floated my name, who saw my name. I don't know how I even got. And to this day, I showed up at that show and I was like, why am I here? Like, I
Mm.
couldn't really figure it out. Like, it's like I'm at a table next to, Dan Stiles and like Justin Hampton. And I'm like, why did I get here? And I don't know why I got there. And I think I stopped asking.
Well,
But
your
then I,
poster, but your
just kinda
Leatherman
rolled
print
with
from
it
that
as-
poster though is
Yeah.
probably the biggest poster come out of that tour. I mean, that is the most collectible print from that show.
And I just, kept doing, kept when they kept inviting me, and I was just like, I gotta go. I gotta keep going. Like, maybe I'll get my foot in the door. Apparently my foot is not big enough to get through the door, but it is what it is. I had so much fun at those poster conventions. They were awesome, and they were highlights of my art career. So thanks to Mr. T-shirt and whoever threw my name in a hat to get me involved, because I probably wouldn't be making posters nowadays if I didn't get to do that. So it was they were all fun. I met tons of awesome people, and really great time. So
All right, let's do.
I wouldn't change anything.
100%. And the thing too is, I think it's gonna come. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and we're all gonna celebrate.
That.
Oh, it's gonna happen. Let's do comment roundup. Let's just go through because we have a lot coming up. Matt Behan says, "Thanks, dude," with a peace sign and a couple with an art symbol. Everything looks good. Shannon Majoey says, "Everyone have a great week." Matt asked the question, does Jeff Ament have control of art? I don't know how much he has now. From my understanding, and once again, this is just hearsay from what I was told, is that Mr. T-Shirt purchases the rights to the name Pearl Jam during the touring, and he is in control of the art and direction of merchandise. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it seems that is pretty logical as invested he is in. So, but take that as yourself. Brad Lang asks, other than yourself, who would you like to see do a Pearl Jam poster for the first time?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know if a first time, but I would love to see Derek Hess do another Pearl Jam poster. I'd like to see Jermaine Rogers do one again. I'd like to see people like that. So, or I'd like to see Dan Stiles. Yeah.
Jermaine Rogers' last poster, 2013 Charlottesville, Virginia, was a fantastic one. Great poster. Definitely for sure. Michelle Menke says, I have your poster from Cincinnati. Good stuff. And also, just to add Brad's question, I would say, because there it is. I would say that I want Brian Math to do a poster. So Michelle says, fun show. Mr. T-Shirt's name is Chris. Thanks, guys. You were awesome. Once again, my name is Anthony Krusowitz. That is Brian Math. Go buy his stuff from his website. What's your website, Brian?
It's bmethe.com.
Alrighty, until next time, I'm Anthony, that is Brian, and you have listened to another unnecessary list.